The movie commences with a highly intense opening scene featuring a renowned Nazi soldier named Heinrich. He finds himself pursued by his fellow soldiers, branded as the most dangerous of them all, and now labeled a traitor, warranting his arrest and punishment. Leading this operation is von Starnfeld, an exceptionally merciless commander determined to capture Heinrich at any cost. In brief, Heinrich eventually succumbs to the overwhelming odds against him and is subsequently placed on trial in the presence of his comrades. Von Starnfeld accuses Heinrich of deserting during the Second World War when Germany was facing dire straits. But for Heinrich, the horrors of war were inexcusable. He had chosen to flee, fully aware of the innocent lives he might have taken in the process. Heinrich's fate took a grim turn when von Starnfeld declared Germany a bloodthirsty nation, and Heinrich's refusal to admit guilt sealed his destiny. Sentenced to hang, Dörfler, von Starnfeld's aide, carried out the execution, leaving Heinrich to face his solitary end. As he teetered on the brink of death, Heinrich glimpsed the poignant apparitions of his wife and daughter. His breath grew shallow and his heartbeat waned. Unexpectedly, salvation arrived in the form of Elsa, a compassionate farmer. Simultaneously, von Starnfeld and his unit ventured into a German town. Hours later, Heinrich regained consciousness, nurtured back to health by Elsa and her brother, Paul. Bonds formed between them. Meanwhile, von Starnfeld engaged in a pivotal encounter with the town's mayor, Robert, inquiring about the Lowenstein family's residence. Robert revealed that he had expelled the family, leaving nothing but ruins in the house. Undeterred, von Starnfeld inquired about the house's contents. Robert explained that the villagers had laid claim to everything years ago, but von Starnfeld's curiosity persisted, leading him to consider digging amidst the wreckage for valuable items. Suspicion shrouded Robert and his mistress Sonia, who appeared privy to something about the house's destruction. Meanwhile, Heinrich shared a meal with Elsa and Paul, prompting him to question Elsa's motivation for helping him. She didn't hesitate, citing her deep-seated hatred for the Nazis who had taken her father's life. That night, von Starnfeld and his unit sought rest at Robert's inn. Von Starnfeld's dominance over Robert was evident, allowing him to wield authority unchecked. He declared the inn off-limits to civilians, establishing it as a temporary base. As day broke, von Starnfeld commanded residents to raise the Lowenstein family's house, motivated by the pursuit of the family's gold nuggets. In a surprising turn, Dörfler warned of the imminent arrival of French and American troops in Germany. He stressed that their exhausted soldiers would be vulnerable if diverted to search for gold. Nevertheless, von Starnfeld remained unwavering in his pursuit. He instructed Dörfler to gather supplies and provisions. Meanwhile, Heinrich, awakening from slumber, bid farewell to Elsa. Grateful for Elsa's kindness, Heinrich prepared to depart, but Elsa sought his aid. Regretfully, he explained his urgency in locating his daughter. Heinrich then shared his family's tragedy, his wife and daughter being victims of a bomb blast, though his daughter survived. Elsa, understanding his plight, allowed him to go. Just before Heinrich's departure, they were confronted by Nazi soldiers, revealed as Dörfler and his unit searching for livestock. Dörfler ordered the capture of Elsa's chickens, provoking her outrage. Elsa emerged, rifle in hand, defiantly protecting her livelihood. Recognizing her courage, Dörfler entered her home, and Elsa mentioned living only with her brother. Yet, Dörfler harbored suspicions that she concealed something. Fortunately, Heinrich concealed himself in the attic. Elsa stressed that her sole company was her brother, Paul, while her fiancé was away. Dörfler abruptly seized her pendant, enraging her as she struggled to retrieve it. From the attic, Heinrich witnessed Elsa facing a horrifying ordeal, and he couldn't bear it, launching a brutal attack on the soldiers. Regrettably, Dörfler managed to escape, but Heinrich swiftly dispatched all the other soldiers in mere minutes. The incident forced Heinrich to lead Elsa and Paul away from the scene, aware that Dörfler would report them to von Starnfeld. They gathered weapons and supplies before venturing into the forest, despite Paul's desire to return for his cow. Elsa explained the life-threatening risks of returning home. Meanwhile, Dörfler, being treated at the inn, vindictively reported the events at Elsa's house and resolved to eliminate them, including Heinrich. The trio, resting by a campfire, decided to seek refuge in a cliffside cave. Before resting for the night, Heinrich confided in Elsa, sharing his fear of his daughter not recognizing him, since he had only seen her once, just after her birth. Elsa reassured him that all would be well. In the morning, their distress grew as they discovered Paul missing. Their search revealed that Paul had returned to their house to tend to the cows, where Dörfler and his troops captured and tortured him, seeking information about Elsa and Heinrich's whereabouts. In a cruel twist, Dörfler shot Paul's beloved cow and incinerated their home along with the deceased Nazi soldiers. Elsa, witnessing her brother's abduction from afar, screamed in hysterical anguish. Von Starnfeld remained unsuccessful in locating the Jewish family's gold. Frustrated, he summoned Robert, who feigned ignorance about the gold's whereabouts. Von Starnfeld perceived the town's residents as insufficiently obedient, leading him to order Paul's public hanging to instill fear. Meanwhile, Heinrich and Elsa arrived in the town, witnessing a gathering. Shortly after, a priest intervened to prevent Paul's execution. In response, von Starnfeld commanded Dörfler to beat the priest. Observing Elsa's determination to approach the crowd, Heinrich intervened, stopping her. They sought assistance from a resident named Irmgard, while Paul was brought to the church bell tower summit, on the verge of execution. Before the grim act, the two soldiers taunted and insulted him. In a fit of rage, Heinrich launched a furious attack on the two soldiers. One was pushed and fell from the tower, while the other met his demise at Heinrich's hand. Amidst the chaos, Heinrich and Elsa clandestinely infiltrated the church. Meanwhile, Paul, spiraling out of control, engaged in a shootout with other Nazi troops, but succumbed to a fatal headshot from von Starnfeld. Witnessing her bloodied brother, Elsa fought back tears, aware she couldn't grieve with von Starnfeld hot on their trail. Outside the church, von Starnfeld threatened Robert and the townsfolk, vowing to harm them if the gold's location wasn't disclosed. Unexpectedly, Elsa launched an assault on von Starnfeld, miraculously without landing a shot, and instead of retaliating, von Starnfeld found himself inexplicably captivated by her. While von Starnfeld was entranced by Elsa, Dörfler and his compatriots pursued Heinrich. Thankfully, Heinrich had grenades in his bag, sparking a rooftop firefight at the church. Running out of ammunition, Heinrich devised a plan to outsmart Dörfler and the others. He lured the Nazis to a corner and tossed a grenade before making a daring escape. Unfortunately, he encountered several soldiers guarding below, forcing him to eliminate them swiftly. He then confronted the formidable Dörfler, only to be interrupted by an American plane attack on the town. Seizing the opportunity, Heinrich used the chaos to hide in Irmgard's house, as he was seriously injured and outnumbered by armed forces. Witnessing Heinrich's injuries, Irmgard provided care and shelter, reminded of her son lost in the war. Shortly after, the priest arrived after burying Paul. Heinrich inquired about Elsa's whereabouts and the purpose of von Starnfeld's troops. The priest revealed that Elsa had been arrested, and the Nazi squadron aimed to plunder gold from the Jewish Lowenstein family. In secret, Robert ventured to the basement to meet his two accomplices, who were privy to the gold's location. Robert intended to disclose it to save his child, but as he was departing, Sonia struck him with a shovel, sending him crashing to the ground. She then ordered one of the men to finish Robert off. Simultaneously, Elsa found herself in von Starnfeld's room, invited to a romantic dinner. Von Starnfeld commented on her resemblance to his former lover, whom he couldn't marry due to her being Jewish. Consequently, he fatally shot Elsa, keeping the ring he had given her in his left eye socket, which had been gouged out previously. He then knelt before Elsa and placed the ring on her finger. Meanwhile, the priest and Irmgard recounted the history of the Lowenstein family, the town's sole Jewish residents, who suffered a fate akin to the broader Jewish massacre orchestrated by Hitler, despite their honorable standing and harmlessness. Amid the upheaval, Sonia and her accomplices stumbled upon their gold nugget, secretively concealing it in a tomb. Later, they decided to retrieve it that night, but were confounded when they found a Bible in the casket. To their astonishment, the gold had been taken by the priest and concealed in the church. Heinrich implored the priest to surrender the gold to save Elsa. Meanwhile, Elsa contemplated escape while von Starnfeld slumbered. Observing a ring on his finger, she discovered a hidden compartment with an unknown pill. Her attempt to retrieve it woke von Starnfeld, leading her to feign seduction and request a kiss. At that moment, she used her mouth to deliver the pill, and with a swift jaw strike, broke it. The pill proved to be cyanide, causing von Starnfeld's demise. Conversely, Sonia and her group located the priest and attacked him with a shovel. Simultaneously, Heinrich hurled a chunk of gold into the inn to lure Dörfler out. Heinrich proposed giving all the gold in exchange for Elsa's release, and then checked on her. To his shock, he discovered von Starnfeld dead in his superior's room, with Elsa missing. Dörfler capitalized on this situation to rally his troops. He attempted to deceive Heinrich by using Robert's wife as a faux Elsa to catch him off guard and mount an attack. Meanwhile, the sound of the explosion reached Elsa as she arrived at Irmgard's house. Desperate to aid Heinrich but lacking a weapon, Irmgard revealed her collection of hunting rifles. In another setting, Sonia tried to interrogate the priest, who remained unyielding despite repeated blows. Similarly, Dörfler interrogated Heinrich and even administered a blood transfusion to keep him alive until he disclosed the gold's location. The following morning, the priest took Sonia to the church to access the gold. Sonia intended to eliminate the priest once the gold was secured. However, unbeknownst to them, the priest had rigged a grenade as a booby trap, which resulted in the demise of Sonia's men shortly after discovering the gold. Moments later, Dörfler and his unit arrived at the church, astounded by its disarray and the remaining gold nuggets. Dörfler eliminated the priest to eliminate any obstacles. Following this, he ordered his troops to fetch a casket for the gold, yet outside, Elsa readied an RPG. She launched it at the church, causing the entrance to be sealed by the collapsing wall, complemented by Irmgard's ploy to eliminate Dörfler's troops. Subsequently, upon encountering the priest's lifeless body, Irmgard went on a rampage, even managing to wound Dörfler and nearly finish him off. Regrettably, as she moved in for the final blow, she was abruptly shot in the head. Elsa's fury was ignited as she witnessed Irmgard's death, leading her to open fire indiscriminately, while Heinrich lay gravely wounded. Elsa managed to eliminate all of Dörfler's troops, but Dörfler, though stabbed, clung to life. He overpowered Elsa, choking her, which caught him off guard. Miraculously, Heinrich rose and bludgeoned Dörfler to death, inserting a gold nugget into his mouth. Together, Heinrich and Elsa departed the church. Unbeknownst to them, one of the surviving Nazi soldiers attempted to seize the gold, but was abruptly gunned down by Sonia, who had survived. She absconded with the gold, but met a swift demise at the hands of American soldiers who had just arrived in town, perishing in an explosive blast. At the film's conclusion, Heinrich invited Elsa to the city of Hagen to reunite with his daughter, bringing immense joy as he could finally embrace his child once more.